Success in an important category. Next up is the Magical Team Award. The spirit of this honor is your team nailed it. Please welcome Boris Schubert of Shell New Energies to introduce.
Thank you, Rich. Well, what an honor and how exciting to be here tonight and to introduce the Magical Team Award on behalf of Shell. Every so often, extraordinary people come together and take together the world by storm. Individual focus is put to the side for the greater good, and that helps the team to further solidify their strength. When you think about collaboration and the greater good, that really resonates with my colleagues and me from Shell. Based on the core values of honesty, integrity, and respect for people, we are working to meet the world's growing needs for more and cleaner energy solutions in a way that are economically, environmentally, and socially responsible. This is a tall order, and we know we cannot do this on our own. So we will only succeed by working collaboratively with customers, governments, business partners, investors, and all the other stakeholders. This year's Magical Team delivered an easy-to-use business solution with accessible pricing and innovative features to connect a growing population around the world. It has become so pervasive that its name has already become a verb. In March 2019, this Magical Team honoree went public on the NASDAQ and was valued just under 16 billion by the end of its IPO. I'm pleased to present the 2019 Magical Team Awards goes to Zoom. Let's welcome Magical Team members from Zoom. We have Oded Gal and Priscilla Barolo, and they will be joined on stage for a conversation with Santi Subotovsky from Emergent Capital.
I grab one of these. Thank you. Told me to take the middle seat. I'll do that.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Santi Subotovsky, and I'm a proud user of Zoom. And I'm here with Priscilla Barolo, Head of Communications, and Oded Gal, Chief Product Officer. So these are the people that make things happen. And a little story before we get into Zoom. So how did I come across Zoom? My accent is not fake. I'm not trying to fit into the diversity quota. I'm from Argentina, and I still have friends and family in Argentina. So when I moved here to California, I wanted to stay in touch with friends and family. And being Latino, for me, that connection mattered. I tried every tool out there. I mean, you name it, I tried it. And then back in 2013, before it was obvious, I came across this small thing that nobody knew about called Zoom. And I started chatting with my friends and having video calls. And it allowed me to stay in touch and create that emotional connection. And after I started having a few Zoom calls with people in Argentina, I started getting invites from people that I didn't even know from Argentina to have Zoom calls. So that's when I realized the product not only works, but people love it and it's spreading virally. And that's when I reached out to Eric, the founder of Zoom, and we started building a relationship and friendship. And back in 2013 or 2014, I remember visiting in your office, old Ironsides Drive. Yeah. You probably remember that office. Yeah. And I remember Eric waiting for me downstairs. And it's like, oh, this is nice that Eric is waiting for me downstairs. It's like, no, the elevator doesn't work. So I need to go through the back door. And a lot of that hasn't changed. I mean, Priscilla, you were there back then.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about, again, same question that was asked before. What did you see back then? How did the team operate when it was a small team with a camera on top of a refrigerator, boxes all around, elevator not working? So what are the things that you saw back then that are still present today and make Zoom so special?
Sure. So I got to Zoom about 1 month after we had GA of Zoom 1.0. So there were about 10 guys, all guys, in 2 rooms. And I wish I could actually say I saw, everything that Zoom was going to be, but I just lucked out basically. But I think from the beginning, there was a relentless, obsessive focus on customer happiness and taking care of customers. I remember one of our first big deals, a customer had been working for 3 years with one of our competitors trying to get a feature built. And we built it in 3 weeks, not months, weeks. And that was just a matter of will, and we just have to do this. And Eric would email every customer that churned and said, "What can I do? How can we get you back?" And it continues to this day. I know, I don't think there's an upmarket customer that doesn't know Eric or Oded personally and has had a meeting with them or says, "Oh, I got this T-shirt from Eric." Yeah. So, and then it continues because we care and we hire people who care. And then where I think we've transitioned over the past couple of years is adding to that a focus on employee happiness. And not just perks, but how do we put these programs and these people in place to take care of our employees and help them grow their careers? I think that's hard to do when you're a 50-person company and you're just trying not to get eaten by your competitor. But I think as you get into sort of thrive mode where we are, you have to pivot. And Zoom's done a really good job of pivoting and focusing on that and keeping that customer happiness, that employee happiness front and center.
Yeah, I remember that story where Eric was emailing customers and customers felt, "Oh, that's not Eric. That's someone else using Eric's account."
Yeah, you're lying. And then he said, "I'll have a meeting with you." And they said, "No."
Yeah, and even today, Eric emails customers and he has video calls with them. He's there all the time. And Oded, I remember the first meeting you and I had back in the days as well. You were coming from the dark side, another company that I'm not going to mention, but I'm wearing this pants, so probably people can figure out the name. What did you see in Zoom? I mean, you've been in this video conferencing space, video first collaboration for a long time. And you knew Eric from the WebEx days, but you were working at another company. So what did you see in what Eric was building that made you decide this is the right approach?
Yes, so you're right. Eric and I worked at WebEx, and early on, WebEx was the best product of its kind. And over time, for multiple reasons, the product stayed behind. And both Eric and myself, we found ourselves talking to customers and explaining why they can't get what they're asking for, and kind of trying to come up with excuses on why it's not the quality that they're asking for. And when I met with Eric, he said, "Do you remember those days?" And he told me, "I promised myself that I will never be in that situation again, ever. And that's why I'm building Zoom, and I want you to join and help me do that." Yeah. And that kind of made the difference.
It's a good decision.
Yeah.
Like that. And tell us a little bit about how you are thinking of the product, because initially it was video conferencing, and now people are getting a lot more done. And last year you announced some great products. I'm a big fan. I use them all the time. When people ask me, "Where's your office?" I tell them it's on Zoom. I mean, that's my office. So tell us a little bit about how those products come together and how do those products help deliver a better experience to our customers.
Yeah, I think the essence of our success is actually the technical aspect of the product. And in addition to the culture and everything that we will talk about, the core thing is really having the engineering team that is very experienced, that sat down for 2 years and built this infrastructure that is so scalable and so expandable that you can build on top of it without worrying on going back and fixing things that are not working. So because the product works, you can add to it more and more functionality and more services.
Just works.
Yes, that's like the core of it. Because it just works, you can actually run fast and innovate. And that's like, we're fortunate to have those that team of engineers that have built that infrastructure and knew what they're doing from day one.
Yeah, and you guys talk a lot about trust and how this video first collaboration enables you to build trust. And I can totally relate to that, because when I'm having a conversation, if people are on the phone, you know that they're doing something else. You know that they're either watching their kids, petting their dogs, reading email, or just like running around. Sometimes it's like, oh, what's your opinion? And you hear like, tak, 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 tak. What? Can you repeat the question? And you know that you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
This video first technology makes a huge difference. Can you share a few examples of how you guys are using it internally and how you think that that's evangelizing and spreading the word that now you can have collaboration and you can have calls on Zoom that are as good as in person, if not better?
Yeah, I mean, I think we live on Zoom. So if I'm not in a Zoom room, then I'm on Zoom chat. And I think it's exactly what you're talking about. It's seeing someone face to face, looking them in the eye, keeping everyone focused, building that relationship, building that trust. And like for example, this year we had to build a whole new set of relationships with first our bankers, then our investors and financial press. And so we did the entire process of our IPO on Zoom, from the bake off to the roadshow to the earnings calls, and we continue to do it. And I think it's really important when you're looking someone in the eye and telling them about your business that Zoom is a real advantage in that.
Yeah, I have another example. What we actually do is sometimes a customer asks us to come and present the product in their offices. And we just don't come with a laptop. We come with a suitcase with a Zoom room, our conference room solution. And one time, I came into a customer, I won't say the name, but it came like 15 minutes before the meeting. I built it myself with just my own hands. After 10 minutes, it was up and running. And we had the whole conversation with Eric coming remotely on that Zoom room in that office. And I remember the CIO talking to us and saying, hey, we are trying to fix a product from a competitor for 3 months, and it's not working. And you come, and just in 10 minutes, it's working better than that other product.
Yeah.
So that's like a great example.
Yeah, and I mean, you shouldn't feel that great about it. I saw a video of like 6-year-old kids putting a Zoom room together.
10
So
minutes is nothing. That's
if they can do it, but yeah, it's a magical experience. And something else that I saw over the last few years at Zoom is that you hire people who are different. You don't hire the typical profile that we see in other Silicon Valley companies. You bring in people, you mentor them, and people grow with the company. You guys have been there since the early days, so from a few dozen people to over 2,000, and you're running the company. What do you look for when you hire people? What does Eric look for when he hires people?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was thinking the other day, we had that IPO party with, and Peter Gassner, the CEO of Viva, was there, and he said, you are who you hire.
Yeah.
And that really stuck with me. I think hiring and building our teams is probably the most important thing that either Odette or I do on a day-to-day basis. And I know personally, we look a lot for self-motivated individuals. So I'll be, what was the last book you read? When was the last time you had to figure something out with, no net and no experience? Or how do you improve yourself? Because frankly, that's a lot more relevant to me than where you got your MBA 5 years ago, because our industry is constantly changing, our tech is changing, best practices are changing. So I need to know that you can keep up and figure it out. That's what's really important to me.
Yeah, the motivation, the passion for a product, especially if you're a product manager, you have to be passionate about it.
Yeah.
And we try to understand whether or not you have it or you don't.
What are some of the key questions that you ask candidates?
I think early on I was asking, did you use the product?
Yeah.
Now it's harder because everybody's using it. And then I would if they use it and to what level before they come to the interview.
Yeah, so maybe we should poll the audience, and maybe we can reverse it. And instead of saying, who has used Zoom, raise your hand if you haven't used Zoom. I mean, we need new customers. So there's one there. Can someone take notes?
It's free, so try it.
Okay, great. So tell us a little bit about Eric. I mean, you are who you hire, and Eric started this company, and people love him. People love Eric. He works incredibly hard. I sometimes message him at 11 p.m. or 4 a.m., and I get a response right away. And I know it's not a bot. Sometimes there are spelling mistakes in his responses. But I mean, how does he run the company? What's the culture that he built there?
Well, we just renovated the 6th floor. And
Finally.
And so Eric, he doesn't have an office he has 2 cubicles. One cubicle is with the product team, the other cubicle is with the engineering team. That's it. And if you ask him, why don't you have an office? Why do you sit with those teams? He will tell you, we need to make fast decisions. We have to be fast and move fast, and that's how he does it. That's kind of a testament to his character.
Yeah, I think culture starts at the top and it starts at the beginning, right? And so it's really inextricably tied to him. And so this culture of caring and collaboration, this all comes from his spirit.
Yeah, yeah. And I was talking to Aparna, our general counsel, and she was saying that Eric doesn't see people. I mean, he doesn't see color. He doesn't see a female, male, red, blue. He just looks at what you're going to build and how much you care. And that's unique. I mean, the diversity at the executive team level and the entire company, it's off the charts. And I don't think it's by design. I don't think Eric was like playing the numbers. It's just that he's looking for great people, and you can find great people everywhere.
Yeah.
Tell us funny story or memorable moments of your journey at Zoom.
Well, it's funny today, our head of corporate strategy was reminding us in all hands about how when we started, we'd have to go, okay, it's Z as in zebra, O, M as in Mary, and just try to spell out our name. And so I was kind of reminding me, because then I was thinking, well, I did the IPO, we did 16 interviews. I have to spell our name for anyone. But I think for me, it's more.
At least your last name is not Subotovsky.
Yeah.
When I'm on the phone, it's like S-U-B-O. B as in boy, B as in big.
People struggle with Corolla, but so I think for me though, it's more customer focused. Like I went to a customer offsite earlier this year, and the gal said to me, I almost quit my job. I was this close. I was just getting angry tickets from end users all the time, and I didn't know what to do. And then they switched to Zoom, and the situation changed, and she said, I can keep my job. And it was like, that's not world changing, save anyone's life. But for her, she was like welling up as she was talking to me. And I think that for me is more, I'll remember that longer than any kind of these big exciting events this year.
Yeah. I think for me as a product guy, this moment happened 3 years ago when the Samsung team came to our offices and they said, hey, we want to demonstrate your product in the keynote for Galaxy Note 8. And say it's happening in New York. We said, okay, we need to change a few things in the product so that it works well. And they went away and they're gone. I used to, send people to a demo and 10 people, sitting outside waiting. We didn't hear from them. And then we got an email after the demo itself. It all worked. It was fine. And they sent us the YouTube video seeing the demo actually working so well that we were amazed. And
it was probably those 6-year-old kids setting it up.
But that was the moment when I felt people really trust us.
Yeah.
And that was kind of click. That was the moment for me.
And do you feel that the way you operate has changed? Early on when we started working together, you were working with a lot of smaller companies. And now big companies like Walmart, HSBC, they're deploying Zoom and it's becoming part of their fabric. Has that affected the way you think about the product?
I think we're trying not to, and actually that's the feedback we get from those customers is they like it. They like that we treat them the same way as if we are a small startup.
Yeah.
And they appreciate it.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's the end user experience that matters. And then you have the security layer and everything else that the bigger companies need, but the end user needs to be happy.
Yeah.
Favorite Zoom feature?
For me, it's the touch up your face.
I was going to say, I never
Touch
turned that off.
here.
Well, you can, sometimes in the morning when I don't shave, I
Yeah.
just, use that feature. I recommend everyone. It's kind of a hidden feature.
Just softens up everything a little bit.
Right.
And I like virtual background. I think you can do something fun with it, or you can be like, oh, here's, your customer's logo or something. It could be a widget feature.
Yeah, and you can hide your kids running around. Yeah, that's what I use it for. So Priscilla and Odette, thank you very much for building a great product with a magical team.
Thank you.